It's time to get ready for Trek 97. Here's head-to-head competition combining the Land Rover mark values and Camel Trophy spirit of adventure. And it's just for Land Rover retailers. Trek is designed to make you the most knowledgeable and experienced 4x4 people in town, the 4x4 authorities. Land Rover Trek will sharpen your skills in off-road driving, winching, basic vehicle mechanics, product knowledge of both Land Rover and the competition, Land Rover history, map and compass, outdoor adventure pursuits, and teamwork. These are some of the elements that have been tested in Camel Trophy as well as Trek 96. They are part of the Land Rover mystique, or what is called the Land Rover way. Knowing these skills and techniques is all part of keeping our position as a dedicated manufacturer of authentic four-wheel drive vehicles. Trek is just a taste of Camel Trophy. Competitors aren't expected to be world-class athletes. The emphasis is on hands-on experience with some competitive flair. Many of the tasks will be similar to the ones used in Camel Trophy, but less extreme. It's time to start preparing for Trek 97. Teams will be grouped into 5 territories, representing the Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, and Southwest U.S. and Canada. There will be trials for each territory. The winning team from each will then go on to the final event. This year, Trek will be held in the Green Mountains of Vermont, near Manchester, home of the Land Rover Driving School at the Equinox. Competition will take place at the Teignmouth Shooting Preserve. It's an ideal place, with New England's rugged terrain and nearly 1,000 feet of elevation change over the 800 acres. The rocks, hills, forests, and swamps will challenge your driving and navigation skills, as well as stamina. The trials begin on September 28th and last one day for each territory. Teams arrive the evening before the competition and depart at roughly 6 p.m. on the day the competition ends. The 5 winning teams will return to Vermont on October 10th for the finals. The format for Trek 97 will be similar to last year's event. Here's what to expect. The tasks will start early in the morning, well before dawn. Trek is test of both brain and brawn. Brush up on your Land Rover product knowledge and history. You'll also want to be fairly familiar with Land Rover's 4x4 competition. Be prepared to be quizzed on map reading, the metric system, general mechanical knowledge, rally math, and compass use. You will need this knowledge throughout the day, so if you don't see it on a written quiz, you'll probably put it to use before the day is over. What would a Land Rover event be without driving off-road? Driving exercises will vary from slow technical trials requiring total control of the vehicle and terrain to off-road autocrossing, testing accuracy at speed. Be prepared for lots of teamwork. The ability to carry out instructions will score higher than pure strength and speed. Accuracy counts. Get familiar with the operation of the official vehicle for Trek 97, the Range Rover. Everyone should be prepared to ride a challenging mountain bike course and to put in some distance over the Vermont terrain. Be ready to swim. There will be a canoe race with the typical Land Rover twists that just might require a little time overboard. Now, since Range Rover will be the official vehicle, it's appropriate to include competition befitting the lifestyle of its owners. Sporting Clay's shooting competition will take place at Teignmouth, which is rated as one of the top 10 courses in the country. Orienteering will take you deep into the woods in search of checkpoints. You'll be required to navigate in the specially equipped Team Range Rover and on foot. A strong working knowledge of both map and compass will be the keys to success here. For the grand finale, a final task will test driving and teamwork skills against the clock.
Hoorah! Is it?
There's a lot to learn by September. Here's what you'll need to know to win this year's Land Rover Trek. First, brush up on your Land Rover history, specs and Range Rover operation. Tom Shepard's book, The Land Rover Experience, has good explanations of driving techniques and vehicle operation. Land Rover, The Unbeatable 4x4 by Ken and Julie Slavin will help you review product knowledge and history. Both books are available through the LRNA Parts Department. For more product information, read through the Range Rover Owner's Manual and the 1997 Land Rover Product Guide. Your mechanical skills will be important. Know the Range Rover from bumper to bumper. And remember, any Land Rover material, such as all-points bulletins, cross-country videos, and product brochures, are fair game for potential quiz topics. Next, brush up on the SUV competition, their four-wheel drive systems, production histories, a few basic facts. The authoritative guide has a section full of specifications. For orienteering exercises, you must know how to read a map and compass. In the enclosed Land Rover Trek 97 manual, you'll find 3 small booklets on orienteering. In addition, Be an Expert with Map and Compass by Bjorn Kjellstrom is the best orienteering book available. You should be able to find it at a bookstore, sporting goods store, or library. For the Sporting Clays competition, review the safe operation of guns. Use the enclosed information to find out more about sporting clays. Practice canoeing techniques and some swimming, because you just never know. Mountain biking tasks will require endurance and technical skills. Know safe and proper winch operation. You will be scored not only on speed and efficiency, but more importantly, on safety. Proper technique will win over straight speed every time. Take a good look at the Worn Winch Owner's Guide, which is included in every winch kit. And finally, we've got some innovative and challenging off-road driving exercises. The more experience you have behind the wheel, the better. Winching and off-road driving demand careful attention and skill. To help prepare, watch the 2 segments following this overview. One addresses proper use of a winch, while the other reviews off-road driving techniques.
Go!
Those are the tasks for the territorial trials. For physical training, be prepared for running, canoeing, and mountain biking, and maybe a few obstacles here and there. Remember, this isn't Camel Trophy, so none of these tasks will be at the extreme, but you should be able to run at least a mile. All Trek participants will be camping in large tents. Don't worry about food and drink. Land Rover will provide all meals, as well as Trek clothing, shirts and pants. You should bring footwear, specifically running shoes and sturdy hiking boots. You'll also be responsible for your own personal equipment such as a sleeping bag, water bottle, gloves, and sunglasses. There are more details in the Land Rover Trek 97 manual. And remember, it'll be autumn in New England. Be prepared for near freezing temperatures overnight. The manual also has information on travel to Vermont.
Points, United States of America.
Like Camel Trophy, winning is taking part, and taking part is all. Every participant will receive a certificate. Winners will receive Jade trophies. A permanent trophy will be displayed at the winning team's store for a year, until it is passed on to the winners of Trek 98. So read the Trek 97 manual, watch the Trek 96 video, and start preparing. If you have any questions, please contact us. Now watch the following 2 shows coming up on this video and get ready to trek. See you in Vermont.
Madagascar, a few years back, on the trail with the annual Camel Trophy competition. This organized melee pits men and machine against the toughest terrain in the world. The 4x4 designated for the contest, Range Rover, a rather exceptional vehicle. Of course, there are some stretches where even the world's finest four-wheel drive vehicle needs a little help. This is actually a winching exercise. Owning a winch is a very wise decision. You've just increased the go-anywhere capability of your Range Rover and added some peace of mind for off-road adventures. Although having a winch can increase your fun, winching is a very serious matter. It is not a spectator sport. Careless winch operation can result in serious injury and property damage. Before trying to use your winch, read the operator's manual and take some time to learn the components and their function. First, let's take a look at the components. A winch is simply a motorized drum for spooling and unspooling wire rope. A freewheeling clutch enables the winch drum to free spool, allowing the cable to be easily pulled off the drum without using winch power. A hook is attached to the cable, 100 feet of 5/16-inch aircraft quality wire rope, which is fed through a roller fair lead, which guides the rope evenly onto the drum. The remote control power lead selects the direction of drum rotation and allows operation of the winch from a safe location. The accessory kit contains gloves, snatch block or pulley block, a tree protector strap, choker chain, and 2 D-shackles or clevises. We'll call them D-shackles. Get familiar with the winch so you can practice tensioning the cable on the drum under a light load of between 500 and 1,000 pounds. Before undertaking any winch operation, always put on gloves. Release the freewheel clutch and spool out all but the last 5 turns of cable. Remember, always keep a minimum of 5 turns on the drum. Under a heavy load with fewer wraps, a cable could pull free from the drum, so those 5 wraps will ensure that the cable will remain firmly attached. Secure the hook to a suitable anchor. Plug in the control and feed it through the driver's window. The best place to perform any winching operation is from inside the vehicle. Sit in the vehicle as you wind the cable back on the drum evenly under a light load. When winding under tension, make sure that the cable is layered evenly. Don't let any strands overlap, allowing the cable to get crossed up. Check for this frequently, remembering to set the handbrake first. Should the cable get crossed, never touch it under tension. Power out to release the tension and then lay the cable back evenly onto the drum. Nice tight layers provide a good base for the next layer. This procedure is not only good practice, it ensures that the cable is properly spooled on the drum before use. When you find a situation where you need to use your winch, take time to think about what you are about to do. Don't rush into it. It's a good idea to keep the vehicle running during the entire winching operation. This maintains the power steering and power brake functions, and runs the alternator to charge the battery. Look for an anchor point as straight ahead as possible. Remember, always wear gloves. With the clutch in the free spool position, you can play out cable much faster than by powering it out. Try not to choose an anchor point that is too close to the vehicle, because every extra layer of cable left on the drum will cost you approximately 15% of your pulling power. The more cable off the drum, the more powerful the winch. A sturdy tree makes a good anchor point, but don't make the mistake of choosing a dead one. Yes, it has happened. Wrap the tree protector strap around the trunk. Never wrap the cable itself around the tree and hook it back onto itself. This will cause a kink and weaken the cable and damage the tree. Wrap the strap as low as possible around the trunk. Insert the D-shackle through the strap and attach the cable to the D-shackle. If a tree is not nearby, other anchor options could be another vehicle, a large boulder, or a man-made anchor. Check your winch operating manual. Engage the clutch on the winch. Connect the controller only when you are finally ready to winch. This should be the last step of preparation to avoid any accidental winch operation. It is also the first thing to disconnect when the winching operation is over, after taking all the tension off the cable. Begin by taking up slack slowly, making sure the cable is wound on the drum smoothly. When the slack is taken up, check the connections at the anchor point without touching the cable or other equipment. Remember, never touch the cable while it's under tension. Route the control lead over the hood. Try wrapping the control around a windshield wiper to keep the cord clear of the tires. Performing the winching operation from inside the vehicle, well away from the cable, makes good sense. This allows you instant response to steer and use the brakes if needed. Run the winch to increase the load on the cable. It's important to check the winch occasionally to make sure the cable is wrapping smoothly. Many times during the recovery, the cable will cross. Power out to let the tension off the line, then spool in evenly. During the recovery, if the vehicle starts to gain traction, you can assist the winch by trying to drive straight ahead, but be careful not to drive over the cable. When the recovery is completed, set the brakes and release the tension in the cable by powering out. Make sure there is no tension on the line and disconnect the hook. If the cable has wrapped unevenly, pull out the over-wrapped cable. Lay out the cable in a straight line ahead of the winch. Now guide the line evenly onto the drum in layers as you jog the motor. Don't let the cable slide through your hands. We'll discuss cleaning and maintenance later. Repack the cable, making sure it is wound tightly. To wind the last few feet, hold the hook by its outside rim. Don't put your fingers through the hook. Here's another situation when a snatch block will help in a tight spot. It occurs when you can't pull out a lot of cable to have the full pulling capability of the 8,000-pound winch. This will be a double line pull using a snatch block. Refer to the winch owner's manual for more detailed information on rigging a snatch block. Using the snatch block will double the pulling power and reduce the draw on the battery. However, it will also reduce the line speed. When winching, the idea is to get the cable as close to straight as possible. The optimum setup is a direct line back to the drum. When this is not possible, a snatch block can also be used to change the direction of the cable pull. Driving off the beaten path is a privilege. Range Rover supports the tread lightly philosophy. Stay on roads to minimize your vehicle's impact on the environment. It's a good idea to do your exploring at least in pairs. If one vehicle becomes disabled or stuck, the second is there to assist. If you are unable to negotiate a difficult stretch, don't try it more than once. Your winch can get you through a difficult section, causing minimal damage to the terrain and possibly your vehicle. To recover another vehicle, make sure yours remains stationary. You may need to anchor it. Attach the tow hook to a secure point, not the suspension or bumper. Proper attachment points on a Range Rover are the frame-mounted towing eyes. There are 2 in the rear and 1 in the front. On Range Rovers equipped with this winch, 2 additional towing eyes are located on either side of the fairlead. Watch your anchor vehicle carefully to make sure it doesn't begin to move under the load. And have the other driver sit in his vehicle to steer and brake if necessary. All others should stay well out of the way behind the vehicles. Knowing how to use your winch properly is an integral part of responsible off-roading. Proceed with every recovery slowly and carefully. Just because the vehicle is finally free doesn't mean that safety and caution can be forgotten. A proper recovery is not over until the gloves are off. Taking the time to care for your winch will give you peace of mind when you're off on adventures. It's a good idea to periodically inspect your components and maintain the cable. Check for good electrical connections. Make sure there is no corrosion on the battery. Check the torque specs on the mounting bolts. They're outlined in the winch operator's manual. It's a good idea to pull out the cable, gloves on please, and coat it with lightweight oil. Run a rag down the cable and check for kinks and burrs. Then spool in under light tension. When working with a winch, safety is the #1 concern. Make sure you read the safety precautions in the winch owner's manual. Your winch is just that, a winch, never a drag chain. Don't be tempted to tow a stump or log or another vehicle. A sudden jolt could snap the cable, damage the bearings in the winch, create shear stress on the bolts, or most tragically, ensnare a person. Using and caring for your winch responsibly is just plain common sense. Handled properly, it becomes a good tool that allows a little extra freedom when off on adventures with your Range Rover.
The natural curiosity of man has always nurtured the need to explore. Setting out for the unknown and tackling enormous obstacles are the backbone of adventure. Land Rover vehicles have been an integral part of these forays for nearly half a century now. They have transported hardy souls to remote regions, to meet local people, share experiences, study ancient cultures, and savor the natural wonders of the world. At Land Rover, we heartily applaud these endeavors and encourage the spirit of exploration. It isn't necessary to go to the extreme to experience an adventure. There is plenty to do and see quite close to home. With the new Range Rover 4.0 SE, you have the freedom to explore your own territory in a rather exceptional way. But first, it's important to learn some basic off-roading techniques and become familiar with the operation and capabilities of your vehicle. For starters, Land Rover dealers conduct off-road instructional days called Wheels events. These are a great introduction to four-wheeling. For more advanced technique, spend a few days with Land Rover instructors in locations with spectacular settings and exceptional amenities. Of course, it's not necessary to have formal instruction before taking an off-road trip. We're going to explain some of the principles found in the owner's manual. Some apply for all off-road adventures, such as take along some basic gear, including food, water, and a first aid kit. Remove the front spoiler when you're considering serious off-road driving. Details are in the owner's manual. Responsible off-roading should follow sensible and safe guidelines. Whenever possible, do your exploring with another vehicle. If you can't take a second vehicle, be sure assistance is close at hand, or stay on a less challenging path. Always tell someone staying behind where you plan to go and when you plan to return. The safety considerations engineered into Range Rover should not be taken lightly. Even though front passengers are provided with dual airbags, always wear seat belts for maximum security. Remember, the 4.0 SE is taller and a bit wider than average passenger cars. Pay attention to clearance overhead and on the sides. If it's too narrow, fold in the side mirrors. Follow the principles of the Tread Lightly program. Stay on the track, resisting the urge to drive around soft terrain, such as this mud puddle. Thoughtless, irresponsible driving can damage the terrain and lead to closure of recreation areas. Drive only in areas approved for off-road vehicles and observe all rules and regulations. The #1 rule from Land Rover experts is local knowledge all important.
This looks a bit steep. What do you say we get out and have a look at this one?
Do some homework first and inquire about the route you're planning. If the terrain ahead looks questionable, take a moment to get out and investigate. Look for obstacles which could damage the undercarriage and plan a path to drive. When the stretch looks too rough, find another route. Grip the steering wheel firmly on the outside of the rim, keeping thumbs clear of the spokes. A sudden kickback from large obstacles or ruts could cause injury. This is the Olympics of off-roading, the annual Camel Trophy competition. Much of the success depends on Land Rover vehicles with their legendary four-wheel drive capabilities. All Land Rover vehicles have permanent four-wheel drive systems. In addition, Range Rover has a viscous coupled center differential, which locks the front and rear axles together automatically whenever necessary, both on or off pavement. The 4-speed automatic transmission is coupled with a 2-speed transfer case, providing 8 forward and 2 reverse gears for a wide variety of driving conditions. The system is electronically controlled and operated with the new unique H-gate system, using one shift lever to access all gear combinations in both high and low ranges. All gears in high range are on the left of the H, and those for low are on the right. The shift lever has a two-stage release. The first position is used for normal gear changes in both high and low ranges. The second is deeper and must be used when shifting between high and low range. The procedure is not difficult. Stop the vehicle, pull up on the release lever to the second position, and shift to neutral. Move across the gate. Wait for the lights to stop flashing and the message center to indicate low range, and then shift to the appropriate gear. To shift to high range, simply reverse the procedure. Pull up on the two-stage release to neutral, across, wait, then into high range. The automatic transmission has 4 shift programs, which are controlled by the mode button to the left of the H. 2 programs work in high range and 2 in low. When traveling around town or for normal highway driving, use normal mode for maximum efficiency. For more responsive performance, engage the sport mode, which will hold the engine in gear longer before upshifting and will downshift more quickly for passing and hill climbing. In low range, when maximum control is required, use manual mode to gain manual control of the transmission and prevent automatic shifting to a lower gear. It's important to become familiar with the transmission combinations and know which work best in specific situations. When traveling well-graded dirt roads, the transmission should be in high range. But when the terrain becomes rough or steep, low range will provide more power. For hill climbs, use third gear, low range. If you cannot complete the climb, apply the foot brake and shift to reverse. Make sure the wheels are straight. Take your feet off the brake and back down slowly. And then try again, using more momentum. For steep downhills, shift to first gear, low range. Take your feet off the brake. Rest them on the floor and let the engine do the work. In most situations, this will provide all the braking needed to ease down slowly and under control. It is not necessary to use heavy braking during a descent. Brake only when absolutely necessary. In most cases, the proper transmission gear combinations can do the work. There are conditions when braking is necessary, such as emergency situations. Range Rover is equipped with the most advanced anti-lock braking system for four-wheel drive sport utility vehicles. When you have to brake quickly, ABS prevents wheel lockup. This means that while braking, you still have the ability to steer. Remember this important detail of ABS. When it is working, do not pump the pedal. Keep your feet firmly on the brake and steer around the obstacle. Another component of the braking system is electronic traction control. When traveling under 30 miles an hour in loose conditions, it will engage automatically when it senses a rear wheel slipping. Power will be transferred to the wheel with the best grip. You will hear a slight clicking of the ABS system and a beep when traction control is working. Venturing off-road actually means driving routes that are unpaved. After all, this is where the adventure, exploration, and appreciation of this remarkable vehicle really take place. Range Rover's suspension system excels in off-roading because it is designed to provide extremely long wheel travel, keeping the wheels on the ground when working through uneven terrain, such as a log or depression. When crossing a ditch, shift to first gear and approach it diagonally. So that as you cross, you'll always have 3 wheels outside the ditch for better traction. Range Rover's electronically controlled air suspension system is engineered to make off-road adventures comfortable and successful. The system will adjust the vehicle to 5 height settings. In normal off-roading conditions, the vehicle should be at standard height. When more clearance is needed, push the up arrow on the rocker switch on the dash to achieve high profile. Just to the right is a set of lights showing the selected height and when a change is taking place. When high profile is reached, the light will remain on and a symbol on the instrument panel will confirm it. This raises the vehicle approximately 1.5 inches and is a good position when there are abrupt changes in the angle of terrain. You must determine that the front and rear of the vehicle will clear. Approach the slope slowly and make sure that no part of the vehicle touches before the front wheels do. This is called the approach angle. Drive slowly and make sure that the departure angle allows the rear to clear completely too. If a wheel loses contact with the ground or the vehicle becomes high-centered, the air suspension system will automatically assume the extended profile position, lowering the wheel almost 3 inches from standard position to help regain traction. For most off-roading and in normal driving situations, the vehicle should be in standard ride height. When traveling above 50 miles per hour, the vehicle will automatically adopt a more aerodynamic profile by lowering approximately 1 inch. At any time, the driver may lock the vehicle into standard position for special situations such as towing. For ease of entry or exit, push the down button to reach access height. This can be done up to 40 seconds before or after coming to a stop, providing your foot is not on the brake pedal when you push the button. And remember, the vehicle must be shifted to park, foot off the brake pedal, and all doors closed for the system to actually work. For easy access, it will lower the vehicle 2.5 inches below standard height. This position can also be locked in when headroom is restricted, such as in a parking garage. While the suspension system will help you to work through uneven stretches, there are several other factors to consider too. You must remember the undercarriage of the vehicle, particularly which area has the greatest ground clearance. The axle differentials are the lowest point, about 8 inches from the ground under the driver's side, with the vehicle at standard height. The highest point is 10 inches under the passenger. Hitting a rock at speed could damage the differentials. It's good practice to put the obstacle under the passenger to take advantage of the maximum clearance. When possible, try to avoid an obstacle by driving around it. However, keep in mind that the sidewalls, inside and out, are the most vulnerable parts of the tire. Try to avoid any rubbing, scuffing, or pinching. If you're not sure whether the axles or differentials will clear, consider driving over the obstacle. Line up the vehicle so that both front and rear wheels will go directly on top of it, and drive over slowly and carefully. Ease each wheel down slowly to prevent bouncing, using the brakes if necessary. When the stretch is long and there are more than a few obstacles to consider, look ahead and pick a path or line to drive through. Try to keep questionable areas in sight to your left and steer around obstacles on the right. Water crossings are another situation when clearance is critical because obstacles may be hidden. Remember to set the handbrake every time you exit the vehicle. It's good practice to first check the depth and nature of the bottom. Make sure it is firm and clear of debris and that the water is not deeper than 20 inches or about to the top of the wheel rim. This is another time when high profile is a good idea. When driving through water, use third gear, low range. Set your speed to create a bow wave, but avoid splashing to help keep the engine compartment dry. When leaving water, apply light pressure to the brakes to help dry them out. In most cases, you can now resume standard height. For many off-road enthusiasts, a great deal of the fun comes with the challenge of driving through soft terrain, such as snow, sand, and mud. Use third gear, low range, and manual mode. Follow the ruts and maintain the momentum using a steady throttle. It's easier to follow an established path than to push through a new one. If a wheel starts to lose traction, ease off on the throttle a bit until it regains a grip. Sometimes when a rear wheel starts to slip, traction control will transfer power to the other rear wheel. You will hear the slight clicking of the ABS system and the beep of traction control. Simply maintain a steady throttle, but not too much to cause wheel spin. After off-roading and before returning to pavement, take a moment to make an inspection. Raise the vehicle to high profile. Check the inside of the wheels for any mud that may have become lodged, the undercarriage for any debris, and the tires for any damage. Once you've mastered these basic skills, you're limited only by your spirit for adventure. Just remember, read your owner's manual for more off-road driving tips. Low-range third gear is suitable for most off-road conditions, including hill climbs. Coming down, first gear, low range, using little or no braking. Remember approach and departure angles. The wheels must touch first and the rear must clear too. When crossing a depression, cross with one wheel at a time. The differentials are the lowest point of the vehicle. The greatest ground clearance is under the passenger. Know what you're driving through. Maintain a steady pace and avoid splashing. Follow the ruts, keep up the momentum, and avoid wheel spin. Finally, speed is never a good idea off-road. You can't avoid obstacles all the time, so hold it down and watch your line. In time, the operation of your vehicle and off-roading technique should become intuitive. Remember to respect the environment and use these tips on every adventure. No matter what the destination, getting there is a great deal of the adventure. And with a remarkably capable Range Rover 4.0 SE, every adventure is exceptional.